The Reckoning at Prestige Motors. The morning sun bathed Wilshire Boulevard in a golden glow, turning the glass facade of Prestige Motors into a shimmering monument to wealth. Inside, rows of gleaming Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, and Lamborghinis stood like trophies, their polished curves catching the light. Crystal chandeliers cast prisms across marble floors, and Vivaldi's soft strains filled the air, crafting an illusion of effortless luxury. This was no ordinary car dealership, it was a cathedral of opulence, where dreams cost six figures and status came with horsepower. But on this crisp Los Angeles morning, a storm was brewing, one that would expose the ugliness beneath the showroom's pristine veneer and leave its players forever changed. Eleanor Hayes, a 52-year-old black woman, pulled her 2006 Honda Accord into a parking spot outside. The car's faded blue paint and creaky door stood out starkly among the Porsches and Teslas lining the lot. Eleanor didn't care. The Accord was a relic of her early days, a reminder of her roots in Compton, where she'd clawed her way from poverty to become the CEO of Horizon Ventures, a $2 billion investment firm. Now, as the majority owner of Prestige Motors, she could buy every car in the showroom without a second thought. Yet she kept the Accord, its worn seats grounding her in a world that often felt too polished, too fleeting. Dressed in a tailored gray blazer, white blouse, and simple loafers, Eleanor stepped out, her only adornment a worn gold locket from her late grandmother. She touched it briefly, a ritual to steady her nerves, then strode toward the entrance with quiet confidence. She wasn't here to shop. Horizon Ventures held a 60% stake in Prestige Motors, and Eleanor made unannounced visits to ensure her investments reflected her values: integrity, respect, and excellence. Today, she had an added purpose. An urgent email from her audit team had flagged suspicious deals at the dealership, pointing to one man, the sales manager, Richard Baxter. Inside, the showroom buzzed with curated elegance. Sales associates in crisp suits glided between displays, their smiles practiced, their eyes sharp for the next big sale. Eleanor's arrival went unnoticed at first. She scanned the room, noting a smudged glass panel on a Ferrari display and a sales associate's tie slightly askew. These small flaws mattered to her. She built her empire on precision. Her gaze settled on a Bentley Continental GT, its emerald green finish gleaming under spotlights. Priced at $250,000, it was the showroom's crown jewel, a symbol of the dreams Prestige Motors sold. That's when she felt a cold stare. Richard Baxter, a 40-year-old sales manager with a chiseled jaw and a suit worth more than most people's rent, sized her up from across the room. To him, Eleanor's modest blazer, lack of designer accessories, and old Honda screamed outsider. He leaned toward Mia Tran, a 25-year-old rookie sales associate, and muttered, "Another window shopper. Probably lost on her way to a used car lot. I'll handle this." Richard straightened his tie, plastered on a smile that didn't reach his eyes, and approached. "Good morning, ma'am," he said, his tone dripping with false warmth. "I think you might be in the wrong place. The Honda dealership's a few blocks down. I can give you directions." Eleanor's lips curved into a faint smile, one that hinted at secrets Richard couldn't fathom. She'd heard this tone before in boardrooms, boutiques, and restaurants where her skin, clothes, or car led to snap judgments. "No, thank you," she replied, her voice calm but firm. "I'm here to see the Bentley Continental GT. Could you open it so I can inspect the interior?" Richard blinked, caught off guard. The Bentley. His smile faltered. This woman, with her beat-up Accord parked outside, wanted a $250,000 car? He recovered quickly, leaning in as if sharing a confidence. "The Bentley starts at $250,000, ma'am. It's one of our premium models. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable with something affordable. We have pre-owned options in the back." The air crackled with tension. Eleanor's eyes locked onto his, unyielding. "I'm quite comfortable with the Bentley," she said, each word deliberate. "Please open the car." Richard's jaw tightened. He glanced at her Accord, its presence an affront to his curated world. "Ma'am," he said, his tone hardening, "we reserve inspections for serious buyers. Do you have a credit card or bank statement to verify your interest?" The question was a guillotine, meant to humiliate. Mia, hovering nearby, shifted uncomfortably, her fingers twisting her blazer's hem. She sensed the unfairness but feared Richard's authority. Across the room, David Carter, a 45-year-old security guard and former Navy SEAL, watched with growing interest, his hand on his radio, ready to step in if things escalated. Eleanor stood taller, her presence like a gathering storm. Documentation, she repeated, her voice low but resonant. Is that standard for all customers, or just me? The question. He turned his back on Eleanor, dismissing her as if she'd vanished. The snub was blatant, leaving her alone beside the Bentley. Mia took a tentative step forward. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Can I help with the Bentley? Her voice was a whisper, her eyes darting to Richard, now fawning over the Wentworths with crystal flutes. Eleanor's gaze softened. Thank you, but I'll wait. Her posture spine straight, shoulders squared spoke of resolve. She wasn't leaving until she'd made her point. Richard, catching Mia's movement, spun around. Mia, I told you to organize the inventory. Now. His command was sharp, a warning to both women. Mia flinched but obeyed, retreating with a murmured apology. The Wentworths glanced at Eleanor with pity, then looked away, sipping their champagne. David, still near the entrance, tightened his grip on his radio. Ma'am, he said, his tone firm but not cruel, I need you to move along if you're not making a purchase. Eleanor turned to him, her expression unreadable. Move along? I'm exactly where I need to be. Her words were a promise, hinting at a reckoning no one saw coming. The showroom's tension thickened. Eleanor's audit team had flagged Richard for selling cars at a loss to VIP clients, costing millions. She'd come to observe him, but his prejudice had turned her investigation personal. She stepped closer to the Bentley, her voice cutting through the hum. Mr. Baxter, I'm still waiting to inspect the Bentley. Or is there another reason you're avoiding me? Richard froze, his champagne tray clattering. Ma'am, I've explained our policy. If you can't provide verification, browse elsewhere. His voice was loud, meant to shame her. He gestured to the exit. The pre-owned section might suit you better. Customers browsing a nearby Lamborghini whispered, their phones out, sensing a story. Mia, clutching her phone, saw Eleanor's name in the company directory. Eleanor Hayes, majority stakeholder. Her heart raced. Could this be her? Eleanor's smile was razor-sharp. You seem certain about what suits me. Is this how you treat all customers, or am I a special case? Richard snapped, dropping all pretense. We have standards here. Not everyone belongs. Show me proof of funds, or you're wasting my time. Mia gasped. David's eyes narrowed, his doubt growing. Eleanor reached into her pocket, not for proof, but for her phone. Wasting your time? Let's see who's wasting whose. She dialed a number, locking eyes with Richard. Thomas, it's Eleanor. Convene the board. We have a crisis at Prestige Motors. Richard laughed nervously. Who are you calling? Your lawyer? This is my showroom. But David hesitated, sensing a shift. As Eleanor spoke, the room shrank, its grandeur reduced to a stage for a battle no one expected. Eleanor lowered her phone, withdrawing a business card. Eleanor Hayes, she said, her voice commanding. CEO of Horizon Ventures, majority owner of Prestige Motors. She offered the card to Richard, who froze, his face draining of color. The card fell to the floor, its thud louder than any shout. You can't be, Richard stammered. The truth hit like a freight train. Mia's phone slipped, clattering. David stepped back, his instincts recognizing a lost battle. The Wentworths exchanged uneasy glances, their champagne forgotten. Eleanor's eyes burned. You judged me the moment I walked in me clothes, my car, my skin. You thought you could humiliate me. But you didn't just insult me. You violated my company's values. She pulled out a tablet, displaying a spreadsheet of Richard's shady deals. You've been selling cars at a loss to your VIP friends. Millions gone. I have the receipts. Richard staggered, gripping the counter. The crowd gasped, phones capturing the scandal. Mia's jaw dropped, her suspicions confirmed. David shook his head, his respect for Richard gone. You didn't build this place, Eleanor said. You exploited it. And I'm done with your excuses. Mia, emboldened, stepped forward. You were wrong, Richard. You judged her before she spoke. That's not protecting the dealership, it's discrimination. Richard whirled on her. Mia, you're out of line. Go to the back. But Mia stood firm. No, Miss Hayes deserves better. So do our customers. David spoke, his voice resonant. She's right, Richard. You went too far. I almost escorted her out, but something felt wrong. Now I see why. He turned to Eleanor. Ma'am, I'm sorry. Richard's face turned ashen. You're both insane. I built this place. He lunged for a computer, fumbling to disprove Eleanor's identity, but it was futile. Eleanor's voice was a quiet storm. You're terminated, Richard. Effective immediately. Clear your desk and leave. Richard's knees buckled. No, please. I have a family, a mortgage. His plea rang hollow after his arrogance. The crowd murmured, some with pity, others with satisfaction. Eleanor's gaze was unrelenting. You didn't need to know who I was. You should have treated every customer with respect. You chose prejudice. Mia's eyes filled with tears, her admiration for Eleanor growing. David nodded, regretting his earlier stance. A customer called out, "You tell him, Miss Hayes." The solidarity fueled Eleanor's resolve. She turned to Mia. "You showed courage, Mia. That's the leadership we need. You're the new sales manager." Mia's jaw dropped, tears spilling. "Me? But I'm..." Eleanor smiled. "You're exactly who we need." To David, she said, "You questioned a wrong order. You're getting a commendation, a raise, and a spot in our leadership program." David's stoic facade cracked, a faint smile breaking through. To the crowd, Eleanor declared, "Prestige Motors serves every customer with respect, no matter who they are." Today, that promise was broken, but it ends now. A shareholder stepped forward. "Ms. Hayes, your leadership is why I invested. You have my support." Richard, gathering his belongings, made a final plea. "I'm sorry." Eleanor raised a hand. "Sorry doesn't undo the harm. You're done." David escorted him out, the glass doors closing with a soft chime. Eleanor touched her locket, the showroom lighter, cleansed by justice. She approached the Bentley. "This car will be a gift to an outstanding employee at Horizon Ventures, someone who lives our values." She turned to Mia. "Prepare the paperwork." The crowd applauded, Mia blushing, David smiling. The shareholder, Mr. Lawson, offered a partnership with Horizon Ventures. Eleanor shook his hand. "I built this company to create opportunities, not barriers. Let's talk." As customers dispersed, Eleanor walked to her Accord, the sun warming her. She adjusted a misaligned display case before leaving a final act of restoration. Sliding into her car, the familiar creak grounded her. She'd reshaped Prestige Motors, not with anger, but with dignity. Inside, Mia began her first task as manager. David patrolled with renewed purpose, and customers browsed with trust. The videos went viral, Eleanor's story inspiring millions. She drove down Wilshire, her locket glinting, a titan who'd claimed dignity for all. What would you have done in Eleanor's shoes? Share your thoughts below, especially on facing prejudice and injustice in everyday life. Take a stand, your voice matters. Subscribe for more stories of triumph and justice.